What is up, guys? Welcome to week 26 of the All In podcast with Bad Beat Bryce and Ryan the Rock. How's it going, Ryan?
Oh my God, there's more weeks in this podcast than we are old. That's crazy.
It is nuts, man. It's crazy how fast it's flown by.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm having a good time.
Me too, man. Excited for another guest. Excited to go over some more hands. It's definitely one of the highlights of my week, so it's awesome.
Absolutely.
How's the poker grind been the last week? Have you put in many hours or?
Yeah. I've been putting in a lot of the bigger MTTs, some of the smaller buy-ins, but larger fields. That's been fun, but tournament variance isn't as fun, because you can make.
I feel that, man.
Right, yeah, exactly. You get to the end of the rebuy period and you're a top 5 stack. 30 minutes later, you're out. But that can be poker sometimes, and you can get your money in as good as you want, but the poker gods can cause you lots of pain.
Exactly. You shipped another Sunday deep stack, so congrats on that win.
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
forgot about that. Yeah, that was a good one. Definitely nice to take down some of those smaller ones. It's fun. I think, for people out there who are thinking about getting into MTTs in general, that when live poker returns in general, there are so many small daily tournaments at your casinos around you where if you just find one with a good guarantee where they're not just taking so much in rake that it's not worth it, go to those, because those smaller stakes ones can make you a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some of those $60, $80 ones can literally take $20 out of the $60 just to pay for it. And it's just not smart to play them. So definitely make sure to look at the rake structure and know what you're getting yourself into. But it's definitely good practice for sure. So today, before we introduce our guests, we just wanted to discuss the difference between an online bracelet and the difference between a physical tangible bracelet. I mean, they give you one anyway, but what do you think the difference is? Obviously, we have the Rampage Poker, who recently won, who we just had on. We've got Ryan DePaulo, his amazing celebrations, and it's cool to just see this raw footage and this guy in this Whole Foods parking lot just celebrating and screaming, looking like a maniac, pissing in bottles. But at the same time, it just doesn't have that same feel that the lights and being on the final table has. So, how do you feel that it's changed due to COVID?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think, it's so hard to say from having so little MTT experience. You can't really say it until you've been there or even been to something that's comparable. Until you've been to a live tournament final table, you don't know what that feels like. In the same vein, it's similar when you get to an online table and a final table, but there are a lot more comforts. You are in the comfort of your own home or wherever you went to go play. But, you're not at a table staring down the other 8 opponents at your final table. I think that's really the crux of people's argument for weighting it. I think it's an accomplishment either way. You can't take it away from them. And I don't know if I'd really rank online as worse, but I do agree that it's just different. 100%. In that without the live aspect, it is different. And I think it allows for more, like you said, for more people like Rampage Poker and Ryan DePaulo, who aren't, seasoned veterans who've been, playing poker for more than a decade or something like that. Because I do think that for those big, deep runs in a big WSOP event, you need a significant amount of experience.
Yeah, I agree with one of these comments. More heartbreak online. I actually do think it incentivizes these younger players to play more. I think that it's easier for people to play behind a computer screen, and you don't have to worry about those live tells. You don't have to worry about people looking intimidating. Another thing is you don't have to worry about looking stupid. I think that a lot of times people worry that their move and people will judge them at a table. Do not care what anybody thinks. Just play your game, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're not going to see most of these guys again. But I think the bracelet holds just as much worth. I was talking to George earlier, and he was basically saying, no, it doesn't count unless it's live. Absolutely not. It totally counts. You have to go through these massive fields. And while it's a little bit of a different game, no limit poker is no limit poker. It's the same game.
Right.
And the needling online, the comments can definitely hurt worse. But hopefully the World Series of Poker comes back next year live, because I definitely am looking forward to going to that, as I'm sure you are too.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I think we definitely have to give props to people who won. And I mean, obviously it's a little different, but
yeah, it is what it is. We're in unique times, and we have to do unique things. But yeah,
exactly.
I agree with everything that we've said.
But yeah, do you want to go ahead and introduce our guest for today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So tonight on the All In podcast, we are featuring an up-and-coming poker content creator, much like us, Bryce. Dylan Poker, aka Poker Police, is a full-time nursing student and part-time poker player from Hamilton, New Jersey. Dylan's vlogs have thousands of views, and they're full of entertaining and often wild action from home games. The man literally drives the table to the home games. Recently, he's been streaming some small stakes tournaments online, so be sure to subscribe to his page and our page, and be sure to ring the little bell so you get notified when any of us go live. Without further ado, let's welcome Dylan to the All In podcast.
How you guys doing? Thank you. That was a great intro.
Welcome, Dylan. Glad to have you here.
Appreciate you guys having me.
For sure. Excited to ask you some questions and go over some action at that crazy home game. It looks like a good time.
It's definitely wild.
So are those buddies from your hometown, or who do you typically play with?
Yeah, so we all went to high school together. We all played football together. Half of the guys I've known since I was like 5 years old, and the other half I met in middle school. We started playing poker our senior year, which was like 3 years ago, I believe. 3 years ago, about 2017. We started 50 cents a dollar, and we bought in for $10. So literally 10 big blinds. Yeah. Had no idea what we were doing. If you bet after the flop, you were like looked as like a jerk because everybody just wanted to check, and just who had the best hand. And it progressively got better. I personally started studying around late 2018, and the game got a lot bigger, and we got put in a weird spots. So I decided to start my own poker vlog after seeing guys like Rampage and Brad Owen were both the first two guys I watched.
That's awesome. Yeah. What stakes are you guys graduated to now, and what are you guys buying in for?
We're actually still at 50 cents a dollar, but it definitely plays a lot bigger than just 50 cents a dollar.
So you're allowed to buy in for more than $10 now?
Yes, yeah. So the average buy-in is around like $60-ish. And then throughout the night, guys will come late and then just match there's no max, but they'll match whoever has the biggest stack. Sometimes that's $150, sometimes that's $250, whatever it is, depending on the night.
It sounds like a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, here on the All In podcast, we have had some debate. I think there is consensus amongst Bryce and I, but we're curious. The Dean Eggs Doug Polk matchup is coming up in a week and a half? It's November 1st. Who do you got and why?
Okay, so I watch both the guys, but I personally like Negreanu better, only because when I first started consuming poker content, it was a lot of the old, like around the poker boom, those TV shows like The Big Game with the Loose Cannon. I watch a lot of that. I think it was like Poker Night in America or something where they always had Ivy and Dwan and Dean Eggs and stuff like that. And then like more recently, I started watching more Polk stuff, and I see the memes on him where his analyzations are just listing every single option that he could have done. Like, I like checking here, I like betting here, I like folding here, and but strictly personality wise, I picked Dean Eggs.
Yeah, I'm in the same vein. I'm definitely rooting for Dean Eggs. I actually put up an Instagram poll, and it was almost 50-50 for who people were rooting for. When I asked the question of who you think's going to win, more people went to Polk, which is understandable. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you were reading the comments in our chat today, Ryan, but there were some conspiracy theories that the game might be rigged in favor of Daniel Negreanu. So I don't know what's going to happen, but definitely keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. Do you know, Ryan, where the match is going to take place? Like on what software?
No, I don't know if that's actually. I don't know if that's out yet. You know,
I think they did say it was out because I think they said you could only load up to 1 million. So I think it is. I think they are playing on the. Gosh, I'm not sure actually. I don't want to say misinformation, but regardless, I think we're in the same boat. So yeah, your vlog features a home game, and I'm curious if when Corona ends, will you return to casinos to make vlogs, or are the casinos and card rooms near you too strict to risk it?
So Borgata, I live in South Jersey, so I'm right in between Philly and AC, like directly in the middle. Right. Borgata actually opens up, I think tonight the poker room opens up. I'm not sure what the limitations are, if it's 4-handed or 5-handed or whatever, if there's limitations. But I don't turn 21 until March, so I plan on heading to the casinos on my birthday and starting the vlogs as soon as I can in the casinos.
That's awesome. Really awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll definitely be some good footage. Casino's awesome. Yeah. Although we appreciate your home game footage as well. It definitely looks like a fun time.
Yeah, where'd you get that table, by the way? That thing is nice. It's got lights in it.
Yeah, Walmart, believe it or not, we all chipped in. I think it was like $15 a head, and it was like $150 from Walmart online.
Dude, nice. I gotta look that thing up. That thing looks nice. I gotta tell you. Sure. I saw, like we were saying in the intro, I saw yesterday that you were doing some streaming of some, smaller stakes tournaments. You're very lucky to be living in New Jersey, one of the only states in the U.S. that allows for online poker. Are you thinking that doing some streams like that's going to be, really the current crux of your content while Corona's still here?
So, we actually were still playing throughout the summer. Like around July, we all started to feel a little bit more comfortable with Corona and being around each other and playing poker. And then up until recently in October, we had like 5 or 6 guys that turned 21. So naturally the game slowed down. And between the busy schedules and all, it's just been harder to get a group of guys together for a game. So until I'm 21, until I can get into these home games again and they start up, I've just moved to online just for the time being.
That makes sense.
What stakes are you playing online right now?
I'm just doing low and micro MTTs. I'm not doing any cash on there.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Interesting.
I don't want to put too much money on there. I mean, Bryce got me into poker by this process too. Like my start in poker was playing. What were we playing? We were playing 25-50, right?
Something like that.
I think it was something really small.
Like $25 buy-in, something.
Yeah,
like that.
I remember the buy-in was $20, and I had to battle Bryce to get the buy-in to 30. Well, I didn't have to battle Bryce. I had to fight the other people.
It wasn't me who didn't want to go from stakes footy. I would. That's funny. But yeah, they're definitely a good time, and people splash around a little more in those games. But
it's a nice night out with the guys.
For sure.
Right.
So what would you consider your poker goals? Obviously, short term is just getting into the casinos and maybe focusing on that content. But do you have any long term poker goals that you have?
I want to become a consistent winning poker player. Like I'm winning in the home games. In the vlogs recently, I've been losing because I've been tightening up more so to kind of make sure my image isn't, because I usually play loose aggressive and I usually roll over the table for the most part. Like I'll have losing sessions, but usually win. But I've tightened up a lot more since the videos because I'm scared of my image, if that makes sense, which definitely has put a hurt in my bankroll. But so the goal is just mainly the content is the goal, to grow the channel and build a community. Like by no means do I think I'm a professional. I study every now and then. Like I'll look over the charts. I look at the Jonathan Little lectures. I watch a lot of them, and I'll do a lot of upswing quizzes. But the main goal for me is to build the channel and build a community around that.
Right.
That's awesome.
From my perspective, from like a studying perspective, I think for both Bryce and I think this is useful for our viewers as well. Like for me, Jonathan Little's poker coaching site, pokercoaching.com, he's been on before. He is the man, and his site is really good. So I think for newer players in general, and for you as well, that's one to look into. I know Bryce is working with, there's like hand history lounges and things like that. So, I mean, how many, you were saying that you study from time to time, you look at charts and stuff. How many hours are you putting in a week doing that?
So before I actually got into this nursing program, so up until this summer, I was putting in probably like 3 to 4 hours a day of just looking over poker content, whether it was consuming, just watching like live cash games, or like I said, watching Jonathan Little's lectures, or just reading articles on Upswing, like 2 to 4 hours. And then once the nurse program got started up, I had to shift my priorities a little bit.
Right.
Sense.
I get that.
Yeah, but that's awesome. That's a ton of time. It sounds like you're very dedicated to poker, and as one of our viewers said, looks like you'll be famous one day.
Yeah, that's my good friend Sean.
So it sounds like you've watched a lot of poker in your days. Who would you say your favorite player is, and who do you think you are most similar style to? Maybe a little Tom Dwan?
Yes, that's actually my friends. They call me Tom Dwan, and because they think I look like him. because of the blue eyes, because of the way I play, and he's definitely my favorite poker player to watch. Just the loose aggressiveness and just putting people in weird spots. That's like my favorite way to play. Make people think.
I'm the same style. I'd love to mix it up against two lags.
It bites you in the butt sometimes, but it's definitely a fun way to play.
For sure. Do you have any more questions, Ryan, before we go into the hand histories?
No, I'm very ready for this hand history.
Alrighty.
I think I actually put the stake in at 1-2, which may have been. Yeah, it screws it up. The easy handler player puts like weird numbers when you do.
No worries, we'll get
which is fine. So we'll just take into account that there's double the blinds here.
Alrighty.
There's an echo.
There's an echo?
Yeah, don't show the audio.
But you're right. All right, there we go. Perfect. Alrighty, so we're on the button with ace-8 suited. Let's see what. So we open the button to 7. So this is in a 51 game.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh wow, massive raise.
That's another thing. My sizing was definitely mixed up. I got the 7.5 big blind raise from the comments of the YouTube video. So I was definitely modifying my game to cater to the YouTube channel.
That's really interesting. So your channel was recommending for you to open to 750.
Yeah, there was. I would have to look back at the comment, but it was like one of the first vlogs I posted. This was this was vlog 2, so it had to be the first vlog I posted.
That's really interesting. I mean, I don't know.
Like I said, the after starting the vlog, I've lost considerably more than usual.
That's fair. At least you're producing good content.
No, yeah, that's the point. That's the point at the end of the day.
But it does bring up the question of like the people who you're playing against. Are they studying as much as you? Are they just, I've seen some wild stuff from some of these guys. Yeah,
so I wouldn't say that I'm definitely in the top 2 in terms of studying time and effort put into the game. But these guys aren't like dumb. Like they know what they're doing. They understand the game to an extent. And I have to give them credit where credit's due.
I'm sure your friends are glad you do not just call them stupid. But yes, 750 is definitely on the larger size. But let's get some action. Let's see what happens. Small blind calls, big blind folds, and we're heads up to a flop. And he decides to check it over to you. So in your vlog, you mentioned how there's not really much of a point in betting here. What led you to think that or comment that?
Again, that is thinking with just my hand. I wasn't thinking about my range at that point. And against Lomax was the villain, I'm pretty sure, in this hand. And him saying that he wants to get in just to be in the vlog kind of put me in a weird spot to not understand exactly where he stood. So I figured we'd see one more card. A bet is probably better here, but I like seeing free cards.
Yeah, that's fair. In terms of your range, this board definitely hits your opening range. So I feel as though a bet's probably better here. But obviously, I could see why that comment sketched you out a bit. And seeing a free turn isn't always the worst thing in the world. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, the nice part about opening the button is that you can represent a lot of things on flops because your range is so wide when you open the button. We can expect a small blind caller for such a large amount to, with a loose aggressive player, we can expect it to be wild. And especially considering he made that verbal comment to you of saying, I'm only calling this because I want to be on the vlog. So I agree, is there a chance that he has 10-4 or king-4 or something wild here? Yes. But I can't see why a bet is bad here for you because we definitely have a range, not necessarily an advantage, but if he's checking to you, we should be betting here.
And we don't expect him to be raising us off this all too often, especially in smaller stakes or home games. People typically, if he just has king 5 or something, he's not just going to barrel into you. So you can win this a decent percentage of the time on the flop, and if not, you're probably not losing too much on it. But
there's a lot of barrel ability on turns too.
Yeah.
If we like an ace. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Timothy. Anyways, so the turn's a queen, so we pick up a gutter ball to the straight, and he once again checks it over to us. So what are we thinking when he checks this hand both on the flop and the turn? Are you feeling like you're even good with your ace? Do you want to take a stab at it, or?
Yeah, I definitely feel ahead here. I forget what I did, but I definitely, looking at it now, and if I was in the hand right now, I would put in a smaller bet, probably around $5 or $6, 5 or 6 big blinds. Just to see where he is. I forget what I did, but yeah, I think I would bet here.
Oh yeah, I think you bet pretty large. I can't remember how. Yeah, 1250. So massive bet. Yeah, huge bet. So the queen actually, I mean, some straights get there. Ace Jack, 9 Jack, but
right.
If you're checking this flop, it's almost a little bit weird of a line because what are you representing exactly? So it's in his mind, if you have a king, you should be betting this flop probably most of the time. So it probably looks really weird to him, which is probably why he decides to float you here. So the opponent puts in the call. So when he calls, what do you think he has here? But feel free to talk, Ryan.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Dylan. What do you think he has?
I would assume either a 10 or a queen in his hand, like 10x, queen x.
Right.
Just because checking makes sense on the flop there with middle pair, and then calling with either a queen or a 10 also makes sense.
Do you think he would call you with just a jack, which has the open end, or ace and the 9 here?
He definitely has that ability in his pocket.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
And I think that's one of the big things here is that because we're betting so large, we can expect them to be calling with a more condensed portion of their range. And I think that's why I like it and I don't like it at the same time, right? Because by betting larger, maybe we get a jack to fold, but a king's not going anywhere, a queen's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I still think a 10 is we could probably barrel on a river and get him off of a 10, but a queen's probably sticking around here. So
I also think if it was king 10 suited on the flop, obviously let's just assume diamonds and not hearts, but I think that makes a bigger bet a lot more credible in this spot.
Or if it's the queen of spades on the turn, I think it makes it a lot more credible.
I agree. Yeah. Just bringing in a flush draw generally. I completely agree.
That's something with board textures too that I've struggled with when I'm trying to barrel on multiple streets is interacting with board texture as well, because seeing where the suits are and stuff is really important in this hand.
For sure. I think. All right, so the river brings another 10, which obviously isn't a great card for us. Opponent should have a lot more 10s than we do, especially because we should be betting that flop with a 10 a large percentage of the time. And he decides to donk lead into you for 15. What are you thinking here when he just check, donk lead?
So taking into consideration that he said that line at the beginning of the hand, and also that he often plays his premium hands like trips here or boats here, or even a straight, he would check, wait for me to bet, and then jam or re-raise to a crazy amount. So that's why I thought about it for a long time, and I ended up making the call only because of me knowing what kind of player he is and what he's done in the past.
Right. Yeah, I think this is a really weird line, unless he has a 10. So it's kind of polarizing, and I feel like he should go bigger if he does in fact have a 10. I mean, he should be going almost pot here.
Yeah,
he should just rip it. He needs to rip it if he has a 10 because he can target a king, which you shouldn't have that often. But so basically, do you think that if he checked it over to you, you would have taken a free showdown thinking that ace high is good here a decent percentage of the time, or do you bet just out of curiosity?
I probably would have checked and just gave it up, quite honestly. Okay. I thought I was if he checks, I'm probably checking just because of what he usually does.
Yeah. So we end up putting in the call, and we are good. Did he end up tabling what he had?
He never tabled, and then the very next hand, he ended up shipping when we woke up with jacks.
What did he have? Or did he not show?
And he didn't show again. He probably had ace X.
Yeah. That's a nice spot to pick up. Showing a little tilt there.
Yeah, definitely tilt there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty good call, especially I think he had a sizing tell. I think if he just rips it in your face, you fold here, which I think you should be folding if he rips it in your face. But you definitely made a good hero call, and it sounds like it was some live tells there with his comment there in the beginning. But it looks like you made a good call.
Yeah,
it definitely helps to know the player.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
And the math's totally in your favor here. You're calling 15 to win 72. You only need to be good there 1 in every 6 times. So you're getting you only need to be good there 15% of the time to be profitable.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely a perfect spot to be putting.
Yeah, his line just really didn't make sense unless he had a 10.
That's I like that. Like I said, I think we both would prefer a bet on the flop, but as played, it's a great call on that river.
100%. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing how your thought process evolves. Looking forward to see your channel grow. We'll definitely put a link in the description to your channel, so everyone make sure to check that out. But I really appreciate you having on today, Dylan. And if you guys are wondering, his last name really is Police. So that's pretty awesome. But thank you again, Dylan. Do you have any closing thoughts, Ryan or Dylan?
I'll let Dylan. You good, dude?
Thank you guys for having me on. It was definitely cool to be a part of the podcast.
No problem. Loved having you on, and we look forward to seeing you grow. And I hope you have some drinks on your 21st coming up.
Thanks, man, guys.
All right, take care, man. Alrighty, so we have 2 more hands for you guys. I believe your hand is next, or do we even have 3? No, not your hand.
No, I don't have a hand this week, which I'm honestly I'm not too mad about.
You don't have any tournament crushing hands?
Oh, dude, I had a couple of good ones, or I just value owned people in a couple of spots. I also got wrecked in a couple of spots.
We had a guy folded JTB. Heads up, final table, 6 big blinds on the button. He folds pocket 5s.
Wow.
Whoa, I mean, it doesn't matter the position. Yeah, no, he folded 5s. He told me, and I think he might have said in the chat as well. But anyways, getting in a side tangent here. So this is what am I looking at? Whose hand is
We're
this?
looking. This is the what is this one? This is the tournament hand, right? Yeah, you just pulled the tournament hand.
Yeah, from who?
I don't know. This is the $200 slick.
Okay. This is WV Kings. Okay, so blinds are 1,000, 1,500. Is there a big blind ante? Do we know, or is it just small big?
He didn't mention. That's an important thing. So I didn't factor in a big blind ante, but yeah, there could have been. 1K 1,500. I totally think there was a big blind ante.
So raise to 4K, and we decide to defend with 5-6 off. This is a little loose, and only being 71 big blinds deep. Probably looking to just fold this here, but I mean a call isn't horrible. He didn't raise too big, but I definitely look towards folding this hand out of position. I mean,
right?
What do you think?
Right, I totally agree. I mean, because the price is so good, you can defend so wide, but we also need to be having a conversation about like what is the bottom of our big blind defending range.
Oh, I'm confused. We have 106. I'm confused.
We're very
big blind 76. I understand. We do have 71 bigs. Okay.
Yeah, we're deep. We can definitely make this call profitably, but I mean, I prefer for it to be suited, and I think the suited combos right there are towards the bottom of my range.
100%.
Like 5-6 suited.
5-6 suited is more of a call, obviously. But so we decided to check over King 6 deuce, which we should be doing almost all the time, and he bets 4K into 9K. Really, no other option we can do besides call here. Absolutely no sense in raising. If he doesn't have a king, he's likely to just fold, and if he has a king, we are just way behind.
Yeah.
Not much to say about that flop.
Right.
So we decided to put in the call. And a 10 of diamonds comes on the turn. I'm assuming we decide to check it over, and we do.
Not a good leading card.
Right play. Absolutely not. And he bet 7,500 into 17K.
Well, I think before we go over that, I think that the only card that he could have possibly led on that turn would probably be literally exactly a 4. I think a 4 maybe he can lead on there, but other than that, I don't think there's any card.
I actually still don't. I still look towards a check, potentially check raise.
Yeah, but I'm saying you could mix in a lead there. If you want
No, I agree, 100%.
Right.
So when he bets 7,500 into 17K, what are you thinking here, Ryan? Do we like our hand?
Yeah, I mean, here's where a lot of the live things come into effect, too. This is a new player to the table. Hero has noted that he's like a bigger guy who's like probably 30s, 40s, and has lots of tattoos and just looks like a loose, aggressive player. And he even noted that like over the course of the table, the guy had like close to a 50% deep hit, but he's new right now. So this is just based on looking at him. We're saying that he's thinking that he's going to be a loser.
Well, if he's mentioning his VPIP, I'm assuming he's been at the table for at least like 30 minutes.
Right. No, that's a note that he said about in the future. He said,
okay. Interesting.
Without
knowing that, I think a call is okay, but at the same time, what rivers do we hope to improve us? Obviously, we don't want to see a diamond on the river. We want to fade high cards, but like unless a 5 or 6 peels on the river, I expect this player to be betting a large percentage of the time on this river.
And a big amount too.
So I just don't know about calling 2 streets here. Obviously, he bet pretty small, but I actually think I lean towards a fold on the 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because you're like, how much does the 10 improve his range? Like, what does he have? What does he barrel flop with that now picks up?
You expect him. I mean, even if he has a hand like Ace Jack, Jack Queen, something of that nature, that picks up a ton of equity, which probably is going to barrel on this river, because he has just way more kings than us.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm assuming we call. Yeah. River's a 9, nothing to do with check. Well, that's not true. But
It brings in
I don't like a bet here.
Right.
Yeah, it brings in the Queen Jack, and not much else other than that. And he bets 23K.
So you 23 into 30. So he did go.
Yeah, about a quarter of our remaining stack. He does go fairly large. So I think the question is, what is he saying he has here when he bets this large?
Right. I don't know. I mean, like, obviously his 3 barrels should obviously contain any King X that he has. I think literally any king that he's opening there is going to barrel all streets on this kind of a board.
I mean, assuming he's a competent opponent. If he's just opening King 8 of Hearts and he's just betting 3 streets with this, he's a maniac. But we expect him, at least from this line, what he's representing is at worst King Jack, and probably stronger than that.
That's interesting. I think he could have some weaker kings in his opening range, especially considering it's his first hand at the table.
King what? I mean, King. Do you think like?
Yeah, like maybe down to King 9. I'm not saying.
Yeah. I agree. I'm just saying like King Jack at worst is what he's representing, because King 9 has King Jack beat, obviously. So yeah, I just expect us to be beat here way too much. Are we just putting him on Ace Jack, Ace Queen in pocket 4s? What do we think he's just barreling 3 streets here with that he opens with? And I think the answer is not that many hands. Obviously, we can think of some combos, but right. I think this just leans value more so than it leans bluffing. But
yeah, on 23 to win 80K, so it's not like in terms of it's still, you're not going to be good there 20% of the time.
Yeah, I spoiled the hand, and the good old Queen 8 off just doesn't take this one down. So
I like 3 barrels from hijack there. I like
100%,
especially against a defense, which is going to be a lot of juice heavy.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry to cut you off a little bit.
No,
I'm
you're
so
good.
curious as to if this was an online hand, if we would even have seen a turn. But at the same time, when we do call this turn, while the 9 brought in Jack Queen, actually that's actually bringing in a decent amount of hands that should be but
stuff like that.
Yeah, to a brick, I'm assuming we call all day if we see any 3, 4, 7, 8. But yeah, I guess we just decide to put in the call here, and very good live read, I guess. But
right.
I don't think I would have played the hand the same way, but it worked out for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any other comments?
There, I don't think there's much more to say there. I like that. It is. It's a live read. You can have that in spots where you're just like,
100%. Like if I was playing like this one dude, Evan Denigoff, like I don't even know how to pronounce this donkey's last name. Like if I saw this dude at a live table, he just looks like a Florida frat bro who like hasn't worked out in years. I would just know he's trying to barrel and win every pot, and I just would not be worried. But anyways,
I'd be nervous saying that about a guy who fought in a cage at one point.
I mean, I like my odds. Put me in.
I'm not taking you. I'm sorry.
All right, so Hero's got the good old 5-6 of hearts under the gun too. Let's see what we decide to do with this one. Okay, so this is a straddled game. I'm confused actually. It's 5-5-10. I guess this isn't a straddle. So he 3-bets to 40, and we just decide on the flat. I don't like a flat. There's still so many people who can squeeze, raise it up. I mean, while raising and under the gun, assuming this isn't some large straddle, shouldn't happen necessarily all too often. But it is worth noting it's against the pro. I don't know. 5-6 is just a little loose for my liking. Even 7-8 just sounds so much better than 5-6.
Right.
I don't know. This is just not a hand that I would get too crazy with.
Conceptually, our ranges should be really, really tight under the gun versus under the gun 1, right? Because effectively that's what this is with the 3 blind structure, is under gun versus under the gun 1. So, I totally agree. A lot of the books for basics and beginners in lower stakes will tell you 3-better fold when you're going against under the gun raiser from early position as well. But I feel like as the stakes go up and things, you can mix in hands like 5-6. But I still agree with you that having a flatting strategy here, I don't like as much. I'd still like a 3-better fold because I agree.
I don't think we should be 3-betting an under the gun player with 5-6.
With 5-6
to 40. But I mean, I just like in position. Like if we were just like cut off or button, I just like even a little. Yeah. But let's see what happens. So we've got a call from the hijack. We've got a call from the big blind.
Big blind.
And then we go 3-handed to a flop, which is pretty decent. The big blind decides to check it to the pro. The pre-flop aggressor checks as this shouldn't hit his board too much, and I guess he's not firing if he has an overpair.
Yeah.
And we decide to bet 60. Interesting. So yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, very interesting. We've got a gutter with the 5-6. We could pick up an 8. We've got the backdoor flush draw, and we all actually have a double gutter. My bad. We also have the 4. So we have a 4 and 8, double gutter, backdoor hearts. I think a lead here is actually fine. And I like the sizing. This is a pretty damn dry board, so I think 60 is just completely fine.
Right, and like again, we're talking about hands that you can barrel on multiple streets. Any heart, we're barreling. Any card that brings in our straight, we're barreling. Bricks, we're barreling. Like we have a lot of barrelability on turn.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We get raised to 225, so that's fun. Big blind folds and the pro folds. Considering we're so deep, I think a call here is absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
We've got a ton of equity, and there's no sense really in raising because he could have a lot of sets here, and yeah. He could even have a better straight draw, which
exactly.
If he had 6-8, there's no sense in raising. So we call. The turn gives us the good old nutter butters. I wonder what he decides to do here. I like a check raise here.
I like a check raise here,
He checks. He bets 450, and I'm assuming we put in the raise to probably around like 1100. Oh my god, I love myself.
Wow.
So we raised to 1150. I love the sizing. I don't even know what else to say about the hand. He has a ton of sets. I think he's going broke here. Just so often. I actually wonder how he plays set of 9s, set of 7s. What do you think he should do here? I actually I don't know. I think I just like to put it in case we have a hand like 8-10. But are we really going to be this aggressive with 8-10 when it's a rainbow board?
Right.
So yeah, I wonder what I'm doing in his shoes containing a set. He jams, we snap, obviously. He's got 10-6 of diamonds.
Yeah. My guy went for it.
Wow. Okay.
Right. He even says it himself in the comments. He was like, "This is kind of crazy. This is more of a punt catch." And they actually ran the river twice, which I thought was funny. And the first river came out a 9, and he was like crapping his pants that he may have lost the hand. And the guide table.
Oh yeah, because I didn't see it. That's so funny. Yeah, understandably, the board pairs. You think you lose it? Like what the hell? What does he have, an overpair that just decides to spaz off?
Right.
Yeah. So definitely an interesting hand. I want to get in that game, so yeah, I will buy. I'll buy a seat in that game.
I will need a lot of backers to get into that game.
100%. So this is definitely a shorter podcast, but before we sign off, I wanted to go over to hand from light. So I am in the $1,000 tournament, $250K guaranteed, something of that nature, and I've got only about a 70K stack at 2,000, 4,000 blinds. And I wake up in middle position with pocket aces. And actually recently watching a Jonathan Little video when he had only about 12 big blinds, he actually elected to, I believe he min-raised instead of jamming because he didn't want to just steal the blinds. He wanted to chip up, and I wasn't here to just survive a few more levels. We weren't even that close to the bubble. I was here to chip up. I was here to win. And I wanted to chip up, so I decided to go to 10K. With a decent amount of people still to act, I didn't want to just put in a min raise and get multiple callers. So I really just wanted to isolate, and even more so, I wanted to induce a shove. So that's why I elected to go to 10K, and I think I like that. But what ended up happening is the button flatted, the small blind called, and the big blind completed. So we're going 4-way,
right? Because we're under the gun. I think that
I'm not under the gun. I'm middle position.
Oh, you're middle position. Never mind. I thought you were under the gun. Never mind. Right. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's great because being a middle position person means that your range can be a little wider here. That's min-raising. Now, granted, you're on a short stack, but
I did exactly min-raise. I raised to 10K. It's slightly larger than a min-raise, 2.5. But yeah. So yeah, the flop comes fairly favorable. It was either Jack 6 deuce or Jack 6 4. To be honest, I can't remember. 2 diamonds, and I did not possess a diamond in my hand, which I thought was important to my decision. So when the small blind and the big blind check over to me, I decided to just stick it in. There's about like 48K in the pot or something like that because there were also antes from everyone. So I decided to just jam my final 60K in. I really don't see a point in betting small because how small am I going to bet? 12K. And if I get jammed on, I'm calling anyway. And I think it could look like I have a lot of diamonds. I could have queen, king of diamonds that would play the same way. Right. I could have even ace, king offsuit that plays the same way. Ace, queen offsuit. Obviously, that's a little loose of a play, but there's a lot of money out there. And when two people check to me, I also expect at least one of them to have a jack here a decent percentage of the time. Ace, jack, queen, jack, king, jack, stuff of that nature, especially when they just complete. So I expect to actually get called by probably one of these players, and maybe even two if they possess a pretty good flush draw. So I stick it in. The button tank calls me, small blind, big blind fold. He tables pocket sixes for the set, and I just laugh, and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. And initially I was like, damn, should have jammed. And I was like, you know what? No, I shouldn't have jammed. And then interestingly enough, the small blind shows pocket tens. How pocket tens doesn't decide to just bump it up and rip it in there on me is just baffling to me. Like,
that is
yeah, 10K is decent amount, but both of these guys, I think they had like 160K and 200K.
Right.
And I think sixes would have just let it go if tens jammed, which I would have been a great result if I got it in against tens. But,
So the big blind would have been how many big blinds effective?
Had he lost, or what do you mean? Or
No. I mean, like at the beginning.
He had about double me. He had about 150. I had 70. So
we're talking like 20 something ish.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the things. Like it gets
he had
really
like 35.
Because we're so short. Because there are so few big blinds, we're just kind of strapped in terms of decisions that we can make. So I don't
100%.
like. There's nothing that's wrong about this. Like if you learn anything from Jonathan Little, the point of short stack poker is to get top pair and get the money in.
Yeah, literally.
Like, get a decent good hand, like a top pair, a decent top pair, or a decent draw, and put your money in there.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I wasn't upset. I got three people to put their money in behind, and I was just trying to avoid the people set mining. And obviously I failed this time. But I mean, 70% of the time, I'm just going to take it down. Okay, not quite that high against three other hands, but you know what I mean.
The flatter was from the button, correct?
The button flatted initially, and then the small blind and big blind both completed.
Okay, and then who was the person who called off the shove?
The button had pocket sixes.
I think that's the only person who could possess sixes. They're the only
I disagree. I think the small blind and big blind are incentivized to call if the button flats there.
I really think only the big blind there. I think the small blind might even fold sixes to a raise and a call.
A 10K when the I guess it depends on stack depth. That's very fair. That's very
20
fair.
big blinds deep. We can't start set mining to a certain degree.
For
like
10% of our stack.
Sixes and lower is probably going out the door in the small blind.
That's fair. Yeah, makes sense.
Really
Yeah, it was, and it was definitely an interesting, fun tournament, and it happens. We're gonna fire in some more, and we'll have some more deep runs, but. Until then, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Appreciated having Dylan on the pod today. Please continue to send your hand histories, continue to recommend guests, all that good stuff. And we will be rebranding shortly, so stay tuned for that.
We're very excited. Yes, we will have our own All-In Poker podcast page and channel with all those things, so we'll be letting you guys know. Continue to subscribe here, but we will be subscribing to a new place soon.
Yeah, Ryan was a little sick of my face, so we got a dope graphic instead. But until then, you're gonna have to keep looking at my face. But
exactly.
Thank you guys again, and that's the end of today's episode. And may all your cards be live and run good. I messed up the quote. Goodbye.